Hey guys, Frank here. Today we'll check out some stories from us/AskReddit. Here's the first. What is a silent killer that people don't realize is slowly killing them? Lack of exercise, present company included. Even just getting out and walking around the neighborhood for a while, gotta do something. Honestly, I feel like I'm living to die. Wake up, work, pay bills, I can only afford shitty food, walking outside in shitty polluted air, can't buy a home unless I'm in a relationship, in some cases 2 incomes aren't enough, student loans defaulting, regular loans defaulting. And sadly, I can't possibly be the only one who feels this way. In this economy, LOL. If you are in the UK, it could be lead. There are around 10,000 lead mines in England alone. Most abandoned and never made safe. Also used in pipes and paint until the 90s. A number of people, no testing so no way of knowing how many, make themselves sick decorating their house by dry sanding lead paint. Owning birds, their dust fucks up your lungs long term. Stress, unhealthy diet, sedentary lifestyle. A hypochondriac reading this thread. Unspoken grief. The kind that lingers quietly in the body, stored in joints, skin, appetite, sleep. People carry so much they never name, and it eats them in silence. The body remembers what the mouth refuses to. Keeping abusive family around. Yes, they may not even realize the damage their toxic behavior does to others, and it's incredibly painful to distance yourself or cut them off, but living life taking abuse is going to cut so much from your life. Get away and find yourself, and you'll also find better health. Not wearing sunscreen and getting skin cancer. Poverty. Bad public policy. Which in turn leads to poverty. Being mostly sedentary. Even if you aren't overweight, you're screwing yourself out of a longer, higher quality life if you aren't moving and exercising. Being strong isn't optional if you want to feel great. Sugar. Everyone is so obsessed with food being fat-free, but it's sugar they should be wary of. Insulin resistance. I spent years having cognitive issues, leading to one entirely avoidable accident, low energy, terrible sleep quality and being super susceptible to any kind of infection, only to discover that low-dose semaglutide, which addresses insulin resistance, instantly fixed all of those issues. Diabetes is not a good way to go, and doctors under-prescribed semaglutide given its high cost. All I got were suggestions to live a less stressful life, exercise more and eat healthier, which I tried and didn't find at all productive. Vaping. Constantly see young kids using them, heartbreaking. Apparently osteoporosis is known as the silent killer because you don't realize you have it. I'm 43 and have been recently diagnosed with it. Here's story 2. Do not cite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written. What are the best examples of this that you know of? My co-worker, Jim, was delivering products to a company we work with often. The guy at the other company was complaining about the products and insisting Jim had made mistakes. He then pulls out a manual he had and starts walking Jim through it, explaining everything he did wrong. The manual was a step-by-step guide to the variety of products, complete with drawings and a bunch of pictures of a young man with a working on the parts. Jim finally stops the guy, points to one of the pictures and says, "Do you see that name tag on this guy?" Jim. I am Jim. I wrote this manual 20 years ago. When I was in grad school, I wrote a Wikipedia article on a species I was co-authoring a paper on. I also did a class project in genetics on the same species, which wasn't related to the publication. I got fine marks on the class paper, but the professor chided me for not describing all the interesting things known about the species for background. He told me I could start by just reading the Wikipedia article. I was training a new file clerk at my firm and I was explaining the system we have for checking out physical files and that we have asset tags with scannable barcodes that you have to scan after your ID badge to log who took the file and is ultimately responsible for it. She turns to me and says, "God, whoever came up with this is an anal retentive nightmare and all you need is a sign-out sheet." I just kinda stood there, because I developed this system after years of having to dig through attorneys' offices and hunt down important stuff because they ignored the sign-out sheet that was there when I got hired. Sigh. When my 13-years-old cousin asked if I even knew what a meme was. Like, look here you little frick, I've been on the internet since Newgrounds, don't you dare talk to me about memes. When my kindergartner came home from school and asked me to spell I cup. IRL, there was that job offer asking for 10 years of experience in some programming language. The creator of said language was refused the job because he only had 5 years experience in the language because it was only 5 years old. When my 19-year-old colleague started discussing this new film franchise he'd found to me, 41F, and explained it used to be a TV show on something called MTV. The franchise he was talking about was Jackass. My teenaged kid, in 2005-ish, telling us, "I just found this cool new band." Sweet. Who? The Red Hot Chili Peppers. They just put out their first album. Boy, you were probably conceived to RHCP. People who are surprised that you have an email address with your name and no numbers. I've been having a few of these lately. I'm an international trade attorney. My specialty is trade agreements and tariffs. I hadn't played Magic: The Gathering for decades and asked a friend's kid to teach me the new rules, no interrupts now, including Commander. He gave me a simple control deck. I looked at my first hand and my old brain creaked awake. This card lets me draw an extra card every turn for 1 life, and I have 40 life. My old brain whispered, "Card advantage," to me, and I proceeded to lock down the table. I was the head judge for the French National Championship in 1994 and judged the semi-final of the first World Championships. I was the first LVL3 judge in Europe and worked for WotC UK from 1993 to 1998. I was literally there when the Deep Magic was written. I'm 33. A 10-year-old mentioned Pikachu in conversation and then backtracked and started trying to explain what Pokemon is. My student, do you know Sailor Moon? It's an anime. Me, deep inhale child. My teenage son turned on Eminem in the car thinking it wasn't my style and I wouldn't pay attention, and instead, I rapped along to every word of it. Then I told him if I ever heard him call a woman literally anything Eminem just said in the lyrics of that song, he was grounded until he turned 18. I had a work meeting regarding a specific internet-based phone system. I was on the pilot team that tested it when it rolled out. When I got to the meeting, I introduced myself as a system expert to the guy next to me. He just kind of grinned but didn't say anything to that. I asked him what his role was for the meeting. "Oh, I was the lead designer for the system," was his response. We both took it well and laughed about it. Here's story 3. What's a waste of money purchase that you absolutely stand by? Bought a bathtub plug shaped like the back half of a goldfish even though it was like $20 vs. $2 for a regular plug. But a decade later it still makes me smile, so it was obviously completely worth it. Getting someone in to do jobs around the house. Sometimes it is not worth the time and effort to DIY. If you don't have the time or the right tools, getting a professional in is worth it. It's less stress and the job gets done properly. When my children were young and we had little money, I would browse catalogs and cut out the pictures of things I loved, hoping that someday they would be in our budget. Years, 20 plus, have passed and we are more financially comfortable. Most of the items in my pictures are either unavailable or my tastes have changed, but I was still in love with a particular bracelet. I put it in an eBay search a few years ago and I finally got a hit last year. I will never be sorry I bought it. The books I buy and don't read till like a year later. I printed the "I am a banana" frame from the rejected cartoon on a 6x8 canvas and hung it in our guest bathroom off the office. My wife rarely goes in there and my goal is for it to become part of the house and escape her notice forever. It's been almost 6 months. My toilet paper has little bunnies on it. They are very cute. It makes me happy, so I pay a little more to have cute toilet paper with bunnies on it. I bought a solid metal, extra large roll-top desk from a Federal Reserve building from the 40s. It's £300, it cost me an embarrassing amount of money and I love it. $5,000 worth of astrophotography equipment. Stuffed toys for my dog that sometimes get destroyed in a few days. A hotel when I visit my family. Paying my mortgage off early. I know it is technically poor financial management, but it feels great owning my house free and clear. I bought a restaurant-style hot dog roller a few years ago. Best thing I bought. At parties I just toss doggies on and forget it. Only check on them every so often to turn them down or add more. My litter robot. I am embarrassed I bought a bougie cat toilet, but goddamn I love that thing. Food in general. You live once, buy that darn steak. Paying for toll roads to avoid sitting in traffic. Here's story 4. Men of Reddit, how did you overcome corn addiction? Make sure you are always busy and fill your days with other stuff, eventually the urge will go. Depression killed my intimacy drive. Beat it single-handedly, it was hard. Not by browsing this subreddit, that's for sure. Watching corn gets me over the addiction for a few hours. Get out more and try to meet real women. I watched way less corn after I got out and started dating. Went blind like my teachers said. I live in Texas. The government helped quite a bit. Assumes facts not in evidence. One way or the other. It was hurting my relationship with my girlfriend. I decided she's more important, so I stop. Been feeling great ever since and no withdrawals except the first month. Easy. Take SSRIs. Kills anyone to spank it. I started calling it a hobby instead of addiction. Perspective is everything, and perception is 90% of reality. Stay busy. Exercise, work, school, etc. Remove influences that will cause you to stumble, such as corn sites or online thirst traps. It's going to be rough for the first few days and weeks. But I promise that it does get better, and you'll be better for it. I just lost total interest in it once I got with my girlfriend. What is considered corn addiction? That wraps it up. Alright folks, follow for more stories with Frank.